Hello and welcome to Make in India, New Deal for Defence. I'm Shireen Bhan. Tata Motors has been tied to India's defence sector for the past 50 years. From a supplier of trucks to combat support vehicles, it's been a gradual transformation for the company. Today, the defence business accounts for annual revenues of about 1,000 crore rupees, but Tata Motors is hoping opportunities in the domestic and the export market will lead to a threefold jump over the next 4 to 5 years. Sajit Manga travels to Tata Motors hub on the outskirts of Pune to bring you this story.
Nearly 160 kilometers from Mumbai, on the outskirts of Pune in the Pimpri district, is the Tata Motors plant. Spread over 1,200 acres, this facility not only manufactures passenger and commercial vehicles, but is also a hub for the company's research and development for its defence vehicles.
We are at Tata Motors production facility in Pune. What you see behind me is a range of defence products.
Tata trucks have dominated the commercial vehicle market, but now the company is hoping to increase its presence in the defence segment. For a major part of the last 50 years, Tata Motors has been supplying its trucks and troop carriers to the Indian Armed Forces, a journey it began from Jamshedpur. The first military lorry that Tata Motors manufactured was under license from German major Mercedes-Benz.
We've been supplying vehicles to the Indian Armed Forces since 1956. And we now have supplied over 100,000 vehicles to the army and the paramilitary forces and to the police. And many generals I meet nowadays, they say that when they joined the Defence Academy as cadets, they had the 1210 truck of Tata, and now when they are retiring as lieutenant generals, they are still very happy that Tata is with them in, of course, upgraded versions of that vehicle.
Having supplied vehicles to the defence sector for nearly 40 years, Tata Motors decided to expand its offerings in 2003, when the defence sector was opened up.
In 2003, we were very encouraged by the government's resolve to involve the private sector in areas in the defence domain that were heretofore blocked. For example, in the land systems category, we could now move from logistics vehicles into making combat support vehicles and combat segment.
But the transition from commercial vehicles to combat vehicles wasn't easy. The company had to invest in technology and stitch together collaborations to enhance capabilities.
Now, when we graduate from logistics vehicles into combat vehicles, there's a whole new set of technologies that are involved. Independent suspensions, pneumatic suspension, and a lot of plug-in war equipments that need to be plugged onto the vehicle and operate. For that, we've developed a new set of technologies, and we are talking to many collaborators who will help us in this endeavor, including Tata Group companies such as Tata Advanced Systems, Tata Power SED, and TCS.
Tata Motors banked on the goodwill and familiarity it enjoyed with the defence services to make its presence felt.
Goodwill plays a big part, but basically it's our technology, it's our value for money, and more importantly, it's our after-sale service and availability of our spares. Because you see, the army is not located in the cities. It's along the borders in Rajasthan, in Jammu Kashmir, right along the border in the northeast. And at all these locations, we have a Tata Authorized Service Center or a Tata dealership that is easily available to the Indian Army for quick repairs or for their service.
The initial military vehicles had imported components, but Tata Motors developed its R&D program to increase indigenization. Here at its R&D facility in Pune, the company developed indigenous front and rear axles for the first time in 2005-2006. Till then, these were imported. Tata Motors entered into a partnership with Cummins to develop and supply a family of 180 horsepower to 580 horsepower engines. The next logical step was to develop high-end ruggedized gearboxes and auxiliary gearboxes for multi-axle drive vehicles for defense forces. Today, nearly a dedicated team of 70 work on defense products for the MOTS market or military off-the-shelf market.
Our R&D is the base of our foray into defense sector. We started with the axles, all-wheel independent axles, and development of all-wheel independent axles and development of hub reduction axles. The engines are basically coming from our primer range, and so is the gearbox coming from our primer range. It's putting together the engine axles and creating various variants, whether it is a 4x4 vehicle or a 6x6 vehicle or a 6-axle all-wheel drive 12x12 vehicle to carry the Prahar missiles. All this has come out from basically our engineering center, who are doing a mix and match of all these aggregates.
Tata Motors has been working simultaneously on the development of commercial vehicles and products for the defense segment. Today, it specializes as an aggregator of defense logistics and combat support vehicles.
Putting together a vehicle that is undergoing very stringent military testing, high altitude testing in the Himalayas at minus 30 degrees, testing in the desert terrain at plus 50 degrees, and we've passed out with flying colors.
Tata Motors recently bagged a large order from the army for its 6x6 all-wheel drive vehicle. It competed with 3 companies including the incumbent BEML Tatra. The initial order of 1,269 units is valued at 900 crore rupees with an option clause for an additional 600 vehicles at the same price to be supplied over the next 3 years. Tata Motors will start supplying the trucks by December this year.
In fact, our 6x6 high mobility vehicle with the crane has passed technical trials, and we've actually got an order now from the Indian Army